Cuba, 110 died in plane crash, 3 survivors critical. Havana. The only 3 survivors of Cuba's worst aviation disaster in 3 decades were clinging to life Saturday, a day after their passenger jet crashed in a fireball in Havana's rural outskirts with 113 people on board. In the first official death toll provided by authorities, Transportation Minister Adel Yzquierdo Rodriguez said 110 had died, including 5 children. He also announced that a flight recorder from the plane had been located. Carlos Alberto Martinez, director of Havana's Calixto Garcia hospital where the survivors were being treated, said doctors are always hopeful that their patients will recover, but he acknowledged that the 3 Cuban women were in extremely grave condition. "We must be conscious that they present severe injuries," Martinez told a small group of journalists. "They are in a critical state." Cuban officials identified the women as Malin Diaz, 19, of Holguin, Gretel Landrove, 23, of Havana, and Emily Sanchez, 39, of Holguin. Martinez said Sanchez was conscious and communicating, Diaz was conscious and sedated, and Landrove was in a coma. Landrove's mother, Amparo Font, told reporters that her daughter is a flamenco dancer and engineering student on the verge of graduation. "My daughter is an angel," Font said. "They have to save her." Meanwhile, relatives of the dead gathered at a morgue in the capital, weeping and embracing each other, as investigators tried to piece together why the aging Boeing 737 went down and erupted in flames shortly after takeoff early Friday afternoon. Yzquierdo said those on board included 102 Cubans, 3 tourists, 2 foreign residents and 6 crew members, who were from Mexico. Mate Quesada, a member of the Cuban Council of Churches, announced that 20 pastors from an evangelical church were among the dead. They had spent several days at a meeting in the capital and were returning to their homes and places of worship in the province of Holguin. Skies were overcast and rainy at the airport at the time of Cuba's 3rd major air accident since 2010, and state television said the 39-year-old jet veered sharply to the right after departing on a domestic flight to the eastern city of Holguin. Eyewitness and private salon owner Rocio Martinez said she heard a strange noise and looked up to see the plane with a turbine on fire. "It had an engine on fire, in flames, it was falling toward the ground," Martinez said, adding that the plane veered into the field where it crashed, avoiding potential fatalities in a nearby residential area. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel said a special commission had been formed to find the cause of the crash. State airline Cubana, which operated the flight, has had a generally good safety record but is notorious for delays and cancellations and has taken many of its planes out of service because of maintenance problems in recent months, prompting it to hire charter aircraft from other companies. Mexican officials said the Boeing 737-201 was built in 1979 and rented by Cubana from Aerolíneas Damoya, a small charter company that also goes by the name Global Air. Aviation authorities in Guyana last year stopped the same aircraft from conducting charter flights because of serious safety concerns, including fears about excessive baggage overloading and other issues. In November 2010, a Global Air flight originating in Mexico City made an emergency landing in Puerto Vallarta because its front landing gear did not deploy. The fire was quickly extinguished, and none of the 104 people aboard were injured. That plane was a 737 first put into service in 1975. Mexican aviation authorities said a team of experts would fly to Cuba on Saturday to take part in the investigation. Argentina's foreign ministry said 2 of its citizens had died in the crash.